Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Exodus, the 32nd chapter. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, that we shall which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, so gods that will lead us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. So you had certain people amongst the congregation that basically, pressured Aaron to say, hey, we want you to make us a god or idol, because Moses, we don't know what's going to happen to him. He's been up there for days, by over a month now, and we haven't heard from him. So, you do this for us. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in your ears, or in the ears of your wives. Now, it's worded right from verse 1 to verse 2, but, practically speaking, you can imagine, right? Because Aaron had witnessed the miracles of, the Lord and so on and so forth. And it wasn't like Aaron was a pagan worshiper, right? So he knew very well, the Most High was a true God, but he did this out of pressure of the people, right? Kind of like how Saul disobeyed, not in the same sense, but you had a case where Saul disobeyed the commandment of the Lord because the people pressed upon him. But here, being that he was the one to go to, you can imagine how they were sort of pressing upon him to do this, right? So eventually he gives in, or comes up with this idea and says, you know what, fine, just give me the break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people break off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool. And he, after he had made it a molten calf, and they said, These be thy gods, O Israel. So he probably took the gold, had to melt it down into the shape of a calf, or fashion it and grave it into one. And once it was done, they said, right, These be thy gods. And these would likely not be the entire congregation, but as always, you have the a few or a certain amount in there that are like the spearheaders of this kind of behavior, right, to cause Israel to go astray. And they are likely the ones who are pushing this, saying, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So what they were doing here was they were attributing the glory and the work that the Most High had done to this idol, because in Egypt, that's what they did, right? They made an idol for everything. And so Israel, having dwelt there for so long, you can imagine this is sort of what they're used to seeing, like a physical, tangible idol or God that they can go to, right? If you want to see it, or you want to ask or pray or whatever, you could see something that you could go to and bow down before and pray and whatnot. And that's what they wanted here, right? So they were attributing that glory to say, this right here, this is an image that you can attribute all the parting of the sea, the manna from heaven, all that, the deliverance, to this idol right here. And this would be like a physical representation of their God. Okay. Which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast unto Yahweh. Now, you may say, well, why did he say a feast unto Yahweh if he just built an idol for them? Okay. Now, in this feast unto Yahweh, it's also possible that from the way Aaron was going about it, obviously he knew and revered the Most High, but he went off here, right, and breaking the second commandment, because he made an an image, right, onto the people that they would bow down to. But knowing that the people were wont to um, idols and physical, tangible things, you know, he proclaimed a fast to Yahweh, but basically try to get them to still serve the Lord, but through their means, through how they wanted it, right? Through an actual physical idol or physical representation of the Most High on earth, rather than how the Most High commanded him his worship to be done. So this was still idol worship, okay? But they try to attribute it to the Most High, okay? So as it says here, let me actually read this in another translation. In the NLT, it says, Aaron saw how excited the people were, so he built an altar in front of the calf. Then he announced, tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord Yahweh. Because remember, they said, these be thy gods which delivered thee out of the land of Egypt. But the name of that God that delivered them was Yahweh. So him knowing that, he tried to say, well, I guess at the very least, they can sacrifice onto Yahweh. But for them, you know, the physical form would be in this idol state, But the thing with serving the Lord is you can't mitigate going off. You know what I mean? The Lord said it in the laws that you're not supposed to do this. And he said this when you read, I think it was Exodus 20 or so. He said this before the people, those 10 commandments. And this was before he called Moses to the mountain and then gave him the other statutes and he wrote it down. He came to the people. He said, these are the requirements of the Lord. They said, yes, all that the Lord has said we will do. And then he went back, he told the Lord, they said they're going to do it. Okay, they made a covenant. They sacrificed the animals. He sprinkled the blood. They sealed it. And then less than a year later, here it is. This is what they're doing. Verse 6, and they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And the Lord Yahweh, and all this while Moses is on the mount. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. And the Lord wasn't exaggerating. They just made a covenant. They literally just made a covenant with the Lord and said everything he said we should do, we'll do. And then they turn around and do this. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot. So I'm already getting pissed, you know. So you go, you leave, and leave me alone, and let me unleash this wrath upon them, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. So I'm gonna start over with you, but for them, that's it. That's the final straw. I'm ready to cook them. And Moses besought the Lord Yahweh his God, and said, O Yahweh, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? So he's trying to calm the Lord down. Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? So, you know, why would you give them an occasion to say this, right? You did all this work. You brought them out of the land of Egypt. You performed all these miracles on their behalf. You got you honor upon Pharaoh. And in doing this, you're going to have all that basically turn around, and people are just going to say, oh, he, he really just brought them to the wilderness because he wanted to kill them. Turn thee from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people. So change your mind. You know, don't actually do this. Don't destroy them. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self. So you already swore, Lord, and saidest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto this people. So that was a close call right there, huh? And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the two tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides, and on the one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people, because remember, Moses and Joshua had gone up further, all right, past when Moses first went up into the mount. And they shouted, read that again. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, because remember, they were down there making fools of themselves, jumping around, playing with and sacrificing onto that golden calf. So when Joshua heard it, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. So it sounds like there's a war or something going on there. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery. So this isn't a victory cry, nor is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that do sing, or that sing do I hear. These fools are over there rejoicing, they singing, they jumping around. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. Damn. And he stayed up there for a good while getting those. But he was so angry that he just smashed it down on the ground and broke it, you know, kind of like this pretty much this was for you, and I come down and this is what you're doing. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and ground it into powder and strawed it upon the water. So he basically just threw the ashes on the water and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? So what did they possibly do unto you for you to do that? I left you in charge. You were supposed to make sure they were good. And this is what I come down to? Do you hate them that much? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. So you know how these people are. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, whosoever hath any gold, let him break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. So I ended up making it because, you know, they pretty much pressured me to. And Moses wasn't having that. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. Now, this doesn't mean that Aaron went around stripping off their clothing, right? When it says that they were naked, what it means is that they had sin. They had sin upon them because they had cast off the garments of righteousness, you would say, which the Lord had basically given them through his laws and so on and so forth. And they had gone off by worshiping this idol. Okay, after having been sanctified and you know, made the people of the Lord, they turned around and threw that off of them and made themselves naked, having committed this idolatry here. And that's why it says Aaron had made them naked, because he made that idol and that altar. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp. So he stood at the entrance and said, who is on the Lord Yahweh's side? Let him come on to me. And that's basically who is against this and is on the Lord's side. Because keep in mind, it wasn't every Israelite in the camp that was down with this. You had those that were down with it, kind of like the Korah, Dathan, and Abiram kind of crew. You had those that were down with it. You had those that were spearheading it. And then you had some that just might not have said or openly opposed it in fear of the rest that were with it. Okay. But now, when Moses had called, it says, and all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. So, of all the tribes, the bulk of those that actually stood up and came onto the, where Moses was, were of the Levites. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side. So you grab your weapons and go in and out from gates to gates throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that here it is, you got a Levite? Because remember, the man was the head, right? So does this mean that you have one of these Levites that came on to Moses, and his wife and his kids, they were good, but he's going in there killing them anyway? No. When it says every man his brother and his companion and his neighbor, it's referring to their fellow Israelites. But they didn't kill every Israelite when they went through the camp, because we know that the number of Israel at this point was far greater than those that ended up dying this day by the hand of the Levites. So this had to have been those that were spearheading this rebellion against the Lord, okay, openly, leading it, the ringleaders, you could say, of it. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. For Moses had said, consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day. And I'll read this in the NLT because it's a bit clearer. Then Moses told the Levites, today you have ordained yourselves for the service of the Lord, for you obeyed him, even though it meant killing your own sons and brothers. Today you have earned a blessing. So that would be, all those that were caught, that were down with this idol worshiping here, they were to slay, even if that was your close kin. All right. And the Levites did so. And then it says they slew about 3,000 of them. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, ye have sinned a great sin. And now I will go up unto the Lord Yahweh, peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. So perhaps I'll be able to have, make atonement for your sins, and the Lord will have mercy on you. And Moses returned unto the Lord Yahweh and said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written. And so Moses is basically pleading on their behalf to say, just have mercy on them. And if anything, blot me out of that book in their stead. Now, it doesn't specify which book this is, but you can infer that this is likely because he's dealing with judgment here. Okay, he's dealing with judgment here. So this could be, that the book of judgment, of life, Either way, it's some record, right? Because that's pretty much what you get out of it here. But the Lord responded with, and the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. And that would likely represent those that he would judge or bring that judgment upon. And who knows, it may have a further, effect, but, it doesn't really specify that over here. Therefore now go, lead the people on to the place which I have spoken unto thee, which is the promised land. Behold, mine angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit, I will visit their sin upon them. So when I come to visit, I'm going to make sure that I require, and bring the penalty of their sin upon them. Verse 35, and the Lord Yahweh plagued the people because they made the calf which Aaron made. Yeah, so because they made it and they bowed down to it and worshipped it, the Lord sent a plague among them. And that brings us to the end of the book of Exodus, the 32nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ruach HaKodesh. And until next time, Shalom.